Well, the bye week is in the rear view. Alabama back in action this week, and the stage could not get bigger as the Tide head to Athens to play Georgia. First time in 10 years that Alabama has been at Georgia. Of course, several big matchups with this Georgia team, no question. As of late, Nick Kelly, Simone Eli joining you for this week's head to head. Nick, man, this is a huge game. It's a game that Bama fans have had their eye on well in the offseason. Looking forward to this Week 5 game. What are your thoughts on where we are right now as it stands, just a couple days out?
Yeah, I think the game is feeling like it's going to meet the hype. Now, it might
Yeah,
not be as exciting as it was in Tuscaloosa. Who knows? Maybe it will be. I mean, that was just an instant classic game, but this one's going to be good. I mean, Alabama's on the upswing. Yes, it was only Wisconsin. Yes, it was only ULM, but Alabama at least is playing better, it seems, than it was against Florida State.
true.
And Georgia, meanwhile, is coming off the big win over Tennessee in Knoxville, which is, I mean, no easy place to play. Despite Alabama winning there, all they did over the years until the last couple of years, it really is tough to play there. So Georgia, big win for them. So it's another just gritty, resilient bunch that Kirby Smart has. And then you have Kalen DeBoer's Alabama, Ryan Grubb calling the plays, see how he can
Yeah.
do against a Kirby Smart defense. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, no question. I feel as though even despite the loss to Florida State to open the year, that, like you said, this checks all the boxes when it comes to what's at stake, and really that not like you can't be in the playoffs should you lose this game, but a lot of momentum going into the full SEC slate if you're able to get it done for both teams, Georgia at home and Alabama on the road. Going to be a night game. It's a big football weekend just in its entirety. What do you hope for? What do you hope to see Alabama kind of maybe had a point of emphasis in the bye week? And then what do you want to see in terms of what comes to fruition here on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's can the offense sustain what it's been doing? Can it continue to prevent turnovers? Alabama hasn't had one all season, which I'm sure some Alabama fans might want to knock on some wood right now. But yeah, I mean, it's been thoroughly impressive that Alabama has not done that so far. And there's no better place to continue that, frankly, where you look at what Alabama has struggled with on the road. Many times it has been the result of giving the football away to the other team. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Michigan. I mean, the Michigan game was stupid because the sloppy conditions where the ball
Yeah,
just kept going to the Michigan defense. So if Alabama can hold on to the football, that's going to go a long way toward potentially pulling off the win when you're not giving free possessions to the Georgia Bulldogs because Georgia probably will be able to take advantage
sure.
of it. So to me, that's the biggest key. It sounds simple, but that's what I'm watching. And can Ty Simpson keep playing that clean, crisp football that we've seen the past few weeks?
Yeah, and that's my next question. Really teased up perfectly. Is that Ty Simpson the last couple of weeks has been near perfect. He has made about every pass, and Kirby Smart said this week that he thinks he's the hottest quarterback, maybe in college football or something like that. And it was pretty strong words. Now, of course, Kirby's going to be that guy who says nothing but positive things about the opponent that he's going to be playing. Coaches typically do that, but Kirby is, not
Rat
too far
poison,
from
right?
Nick Saban. Yeah, exactly. Kirby's not too far off from Nick Saban when it comes to just giving all the kudos to the opponent, whether he really, genuinely feels that or not. Is Ty Simpson legit? I think we all know that he's talented. Is he this good that he could lead Alabama to an SEC title? We'll soon find out, Nick. But what is your take on if this is something that is sustainable for what Ty Simpson is maybe capable of going into the SEC slate?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to complete 17 of 17 passes every time he
Probably
goes
not.
out there. But we are seeing a more comfortable Ty Simpson. That was one thing I asked him this week during player interviews was how are you different than that first road start? Because
Mm,
that first road start, he wasn't the biggest problem and he wasn't the reason alone that they lost, but he certainly didn't look comfortable. He didn't look like himself. He didn't look confident, a little bit of happy feet back there at times, maybe not running when he should or not passing when he should, just all those different things that he just didn't quite look settled. And Ty said he feels more comfortable now. He definitely has some good reps under his belt, good game reps. I mean, yeah, again, not high level opponents, but it doesn't matter who you're facing when it comes to just getting repetitions, just getting moments where you build up confidence in yourself that, hey, you can do this. And hey, do this, don't do that kind of thing in games. That's very oversimplifying things. But I think it goes a long way for a young quarterback in terms of young starter. I mean, he's not that young,
sure.
but just in terms of experience, he hasn't started many football games. So I think that, yeah, he seems more comfortable and we'll see if that pays off. And we're going to get a pretty good barometer in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, we really are. On the other end, Gunnar Stockton, of course, is a guy who kind of was thrust under the spotlight late last year with the injury there for Georgia, and has really been good. Been everything that Georgia has wanted and then some. And it's not like they want to lean on him necessarily as a Russian attack, but he has that ability to a good decision maker. So do you feel as though he could really, serve as a threat to Alabama, where the defense has maybe had problems when it comes to a mobile quarterback? A guy who does make good decisions, and a guy who can hit you either in the air or on the ground.
Yeah, Gunnar Stockton can use his legs. I mean, that's not his primary
Sure.
go-to, but he is a guy who I think he leads the team in rushing touchdowns through the first couple of games for Georgia, and he's not a running back, so that's not a bad stat for him. And Carson Beck, I believe he had one rushing touchdown all of last season. So
Yeah.
yeah, Gunnar Stockton presents more on the ground that Alabama will have to account for. Kane Wommack's aware of that. He mentioned that on Monday. So how Alabama does, I mean, it hasn't fared well defending running quarterbacks before, to your point, and we'll see if that will improve. And again, I think he does a lot more than just run. Uh, Frankly, I was a skeptic about Gunnar Stockton coming into the year, but he made some
Mm.
throws in that Tennessee game that really made me start to become a believer in what he can do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, he's gritty, he's tough, he's going to do some things that could give Alabama problems, and we'll see how the defense responds.
Yeah, it's not the time of year where we start to see injuries really become a big talking point in how guys are banged up. Look no further than Oklahoma with John Mateer out for the extended future. But for Alabama, getting a couple guys who have not played yet, which could obviously serve as significant for the Tide. Tell us about that, Nick.
Yeah, getting Jam Miller back at running back and getting Tim Keenan back at defensive tackle. Both guys are expected to return, which is massive because not only are
Hmm.
those two leaders, two older guys, but two positions where Alabama doesn't have a lot of depth or experience. So
Yeah.
you get Tim Keenan back, who, I mean, I talked to an NFL scout last week about what Tim Keenan can do and said, and that person said that he's the heart and the soul of that defense. And when he's in the middle, it just essentially improves from there. So they have missed
Oh,
that. They didn't have that against Florida State, and you saw what happened. Now, it's not just if he would have been there, it would have changed everything, but I think he's a big piece, literally and figuratively, in the middle of that defense.
sure.
Then you look at offense. Jam Miller, a guy who is experienced. He only has two. This is kind of a fun fact for you. He only has two receiving touchdowns in his career, and both of them came against Georgia. So he's been a multifaceted player against the Bulldogs for whatever reason. But not only that, he's a guy who can do a lot of things. He's been there, done that. And this year, coming into the season before he got hurt, he was a guy coaches were raving about. Ryan Grubb called him the
Yep.
man. When you had a lot of questions at running back, he was the one certainty, and he's been out. So I can't overstate what a big deal it is getting those two guys back.
Nick, any other injuries? I know there was a medical situation at practice this week in Tuscaloosa. What can you tell us about what's kind of going on with the Tide, be it that situation or anything else that fans need to have an eye on?
Yeah, Jamarian Latham, who actually has been out as well since the Florida State game, he kind of had a scary situation where he went down in practice Tuesday with a neck injury. And at first, it wasn't thought to be too severe, it just maybe looked like another injury. But he ended up having to go to the UAB St. Vincent's Hospital. And as of Wednesday afternoon, Kalen DeBoer said he was still there. Now he has full feeling. He still has all motion, things like that, that of course you want to kind of check that box first before anything else with a neck injury, which can be really scary. But yeah, it's kind of uncertain right now what his future looks like in terms of football, just where he's at. I mean, most importantly, what his quality of life or whatever that is. I'm not saying it's going
Yeah,
to be bad, but that's of course the
sure.
first priority
Of
that
course.
you want to find out. And so yeah, Jamarian Latham texted with Kalen DeBoer, wanted to pass along a message to the guys he's doing all right, kind of thing. But kind of wait and see mode to see where that progresses. And of course, thoughts and
Yeah.
praying for a guy like that nothing severe happens there. And yeah, in terms of, and that comes first and foremost, just quality of life. But in terms of football, he was rotating with Quay Rusaw as kind of like the or starter at the Wolf linebacker, outside linebacker spot. So it doesn't change too much from a football
Sure.
standpoint right now. Of course, you'd like to have a veteran like that. I mean, he's, I think, 6-year guy, graduate student. But overall, it still is going to be a lot of Quay Russo, a lot of Yanze Pierre at that spot on the football field.
Yeah, good stuff. Nick Kelly, appreciate it, man. Let's get some predictions really quick for this one in Athens. A 6:30 Central Time kickoff. They're going to be a late one and certainly going to have all the hype, no question.
Well, first prediction, I'm going to be drinking a lot of coffee that day. So I'll go with that one because it's going to be a long day,
Yeah,
long night. So I'll
no
start with
doubt.
that one. So I'm going to go over under on 4 cups. But as far
Tops.
as the game, I will say that I think it's going to be close. And
Yeah,
frankly, I go back and forth as to what's going to happen. Alabama's had Georgia's number outside of that national championship game in 2021. Alabama has ended streaks for Georgia, the 29 game win streak that Alabama ended in 2023. You've also got the, I think, 42 game win streak that Georgia had in the regular season. Alabama ended that last year in Tuscaloosa. Georgia brings a 33 game winning streak at home
yeah,
to this matchup. Can Alabama end that? I'm going to predict no. I think Georgia's going to win by a field goal. I think it's just tough to not pick Georgia at home, considering they haven't lost at home since 2019. I
it's
think Alabama's
insane.
got a great shot. It won't surprise me if Alabama wins, but Georgia at home right now is just unstoppable. So I think until Alabama proves to me that they can be a force game in, game out on the road, I just have trouble picking the Crimson Tide away from Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah, Nick, I got to side with you for all of the points that you just made. I mean, it's been 6 years, and it was double overtime. I think that they lost that game to South Carolina in 2019. It's been a long minute since Georgia has lost at home. I give you that, and then I would add on top of that that it's been a week since that Tennessee win. If it was a back-to-back weeks, the hangover, the just getting your body back for Georgia, I feel like all of that comes into play. If it was Saturday to Saturday, but Georgia's also coming off of a bye week. Kirby Smart's been there for a minute. It's not like this is a guy who doesn't know what he's doing here. And not, it's no diss in terms of like, Kalen Moore or anybody else. It's just Kirby's been there, done that, and he knows what it takes to win. And I feel like it's going to be close. And if it's going to be close, right now I'm siding with Kirby Smart and Georgia Bulldogs, especially at home. So I like that. I like maybe like you said, maybe a field goal, something, maybe something in the low 20s or high 20s. But I think that it could be a final possession game too. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. But certainly, love to see nothing more than Alabama get it done and kind of jump off into SEC play in a big way. But I think that it's going to take quite the effort. We'll soon find out, though. So, Nick Kelly, appreciate your time here on Head to Head, man. Looking forward to seeing what the Tide can do as they open things up in the Southeastern Conference.
Hey, thanks for having me, Simone. And it's going to be a fun one, that's for sure.
Can't wait.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.